So this is a last minute video for me. Lately, I have been revisiting my old tradition that started with my grandmother of watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy at around 7 o'clock when they're on back to back on CBS. And out of curiosity, because I really don't watch TV much anymore, and I haven't for years since, well, internet, and I went and I looked at the different channel lineups, and one stood out to me as being so bizarre and so empty and so weird and just nothing. And compared to what it used to be, absolutely absurd. Of course, you know by the title of this video, it is, of course, ABC. Now, this could very easily, I could make the same points in the what the heck happened to Disney video because, well, Disney owns ABC. They have since the early 90s. It's just weird to me that a network that used to be focused on having a gigantic variety of content and being one of the best in its lineup has fallen so far. Absolutely incredibly far. I want to give you an example of what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you if you can see it. The video quality I apologize for because it's on my phone, but I do end up reading what the guide is. I show you the TV guide and show you what their lineup is. So go check it out. Okay, so I don't know how well this is going to appear on TV, but here's an example, or rather on my phone video. Apologize for the phone video, by the way. But this is an example of what I'm talking about. This is ABC at 8 o'clock on Friday, February 17th. So 8 o'clock to 8:30, Shark Tank. Okay, fair enough. 2020, kind of an ABC staple, so I can forgive that. But 2 hours? Has it always been 2 hours? I don't know. Maybe I've been out of the loop. Then you have ABC 27 News, this is the ABC affiliate I'm on. Then there's Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, this to be expected. Nightline. Okay. DraftKings Casino Report. I'd rather watch paint dry. What is that? I was tuned in earlier today because Family Feud was on, or they said Family Feud was on, and this thing was there in place of it, and I think that was actually on Fox. But what is that? That's the weirdest thing. Who is doing all of this sports betting? I don't understand it. Comedy.tv, not entirely sure what this is, but it's been around since at least 2015. Major crimes, all sorts of reality, all these crime shows. There's next to no real family programming on ABC anymore. And I don't understand it for the life of me. It makes no sense. I don't get it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm redoing this take because I wanted to show you guys something. This is ABC bumpers and idents or IDs from 1999 to 2002, and I'm going to play it muted. But I want you to look at the visuals here. These played in between shows and commercials. This was from that era between 99 and 2002 where they went with a yellow look, and the logo is often yellow itself. But I wish I could play the music because the variations of the jingle are so good. They're so good. But this visual style, I mean, this is so beautifully and creatively animated. I mean, this was like, wow, I'm going to be watching a really entertaining TV network. This is drawing people in. This is really good visual flair. This is just really, really well done. I wish I had the skill to make something like this, even for my own channel. But that's why Disney are multi-billionaires, and I'm not, I suppose. But I mean, my gosh, I mean, look at, and it's just such a simple logo, and yet they're doing all this stuff with it. It's a dot with 3 letters. America's #1 broadcasting. Apparently, they hit #1 sometime between this period. They're not even close to that now. I guarantee you. I think the last I checked, it was Fox, which still Disney, but it's not ABC. Not even close. I mean, gosh, look at that visual flair. That is spectacular. Whoa, trippy. Ooh, starry-eyed. That is so cool. That is really, really awesome. Okay. Um, One other thing I want to look at was what was the fate of TGIF? TGIF was an American primetime television programming block that had aired on ABC at various points since the late 1980s. Name comes from the initial of the popular phrase, "Thank God it's Friday." However, the stars lineup touted the initialism, meaning "Thank goodness it's funny." In its various incarnations, the block mainly featured situation comedies aimed at a family audience, and served as a lead into the long-running news magazine 2020, which had been a part of ABC's Friday night schedule since September 1987. Okay, so I answered my question about 2020. It's always been after TGIF, but apparently they replaced it with Shark Tank. Initially premiered September 22nd, 1989, making one of the first attempts by a major network to brand a programming block, a concept that was concurrently becoming popular among cable networks at the time of its inception, with the goal of encouraging young viewers to watch the entire lineup instead of just a particular show. Interesting. The TGIF block dominated the ratings in the 18 to 49 demographic for most of the 1990s. However, ratings began declining during the latter half of the decade due to partially to Fridays becoming more common for social outings among segments of the block's key demographic, as well as the loss and aging quality of many of the lineup's signature shows, culminating in the original incarnation ending after 11 years on September 8th, 2000. ABC revived the TGIF brand on September 26, 2003, with a second run lasting only 2 seasons, ending on September 15th, 2005. May 2018, the network announced it would revive the block with the third incarnation, which has launched on October 2018, October 5th, 2018. The new incarnation of TGIF consisted of a mix of sitcoms and game shows, very healthy. The incarnation was short-lived, with the block ending for the third time on September 2019. And if you look, they go into the history of the original, and then they show, it almost looks like Tim Allen for a minute there, but it's apparently Larry Appleton, and I can't even pronounce that. It's interstitial. Those were fun. It's kind of like bumpers, interstitial, stuff in between programmings, really. Let's see. So, if you go to the third run, after experiencing mediocre ratings, this is all on Wikipedia, by the way, I know, very original. After experiencing mediocre ratings on Fridays, ABC made several programming moves that resulted in the discontinuance of its Friday drama block. Who wants to watch drama on a Friday? Am I crazy, or is that just seems absurd to me? Um, February 2018, ABC announced that Once Upon a Time, which had been experiencing declining viewership. I vaguely remember that. Throughout its run, with its most noted declines taking place since its 5th season, would end after 7 seasons. That May, the network canceled Inhumans after 1 season, while giving another Marvel series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which replaced Inhumans for the 2018 midseason, a 6th season renewal for the network's summer 2019 schedule. That could have worked. That was right at the height of Marvel Mania. And I remember seeing a bit of the beginning of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and thinking, this is okay, but I don't know if I'm going to tune in, because at that time, you have to remember, on CW were the Arrowverse shows, and I was more of a DC guy, so I was really into that. I preferred watching that over the Marvel stuff at the time, and there was Marvel stuff still on Netflix, I believe, so people weren't really tuning in. 2018-2019 schedule, ABC announced it bringing back comedies to the Friday night slot. Good idea. Very good idea. The lineup consisting of rerunning family sitcoms fresh off the boat. The heck is that? I don't remember this at all. American sitcom created by Natach something Khan. Hopefully no relation to Genghis Khan for her sake. It's loosely inspired by the life of chef and food personality Eddie Huang and his 2013 autobiography of the same name. He also executive produced the season, narrated a series, and narrated its first season. Okay, it seems like an Everybody Hates Chris situation, but I'm going to say this. I haven't seen much of Everybody Hates Chris. I don't remember liking a whole lot of what it saw. A good rule of thumb, don't make your sitcom an autobiography, don't base it off of an autobiography. Don't base it off the life of an individual. It only worked for Chris Rock. I don't think it would work for anybody else. And clearly it didn't, because it only lasted for, 6 seasons? Okay, well, maybe it did work. I don't remember this at all. I don't remember this even being broadcast during that period. I don't remember any advertisements. I must have just faded out of my memory. Then you have Speechless, which was also in the lineup. 3 seasons, starring Minnie Driver, John Ross Bowie, a lot of other people I haven't heard of. Created by Scott Silveri. Starring Minnie Driver, John Ross Bowie, and Micah Fowler. The sitcom explores the serious and humorous challenges a family faces with a teenager with a disability. All right, so you've got an interesting gimmick there. Um, Kind of risky to do in this time period. A lot of people really wouldn't want to offend anybody. Although I guess the Good Doctor also deals with disability, but I find when you make a gimmick, when you make a show centered around a gimmick like that, it tends to not really do very well. Especially because of the portrayal of the person with a disability. A lot of the SJWs will jump down your throat if you do it wrong. Kid with cerebral palsy. A lot of efforts to take people with cerebral palsy and really elevate them. Interesting. But yeah, that obviously wasn't a success, and I don't know. It seems odd. It seems like an odd combination for what's supposed to be a lighthearted, funny sitcom. It seems a little bit. I don't know. It seems it's a little bit different. It's not for me for sure. It's not what I would consider to be great. Game show Child Support. What is this? Hosted by Fred Savage. Oh, that's pretty cool. And starring Ricky Gervais. Ah. January 15th, 2018. Question is asked an onstage contestant by Savage and to a group of 5 children in backstage room by Gervais. A correct answer by the contestant increases his/her winnings by 1 level. But if he/she gives an incorrect answer, footage of the children's responses is played back to the studio. If any of the children answer correctly, the contestant remains in the game, but wins no money for the question. It sounds like it could have been decent. It only lasted for 2 seasons, though, probably because it had Ricky Gervais, and most people didn't like him. I really didn't like... I still don't really care for Ricky Gervais, but, I mean, there's no denying. He spat absolute truth at that Oscars. I mean, he laid it out there, and he's the type to do it because he's as blunt as possible. I just don't like how he talks about and, frankly, treats Christians. Although I think his stance has maybe softened a little bit. I don't know for sure. But I'm just not personally a fan. That's just my opinion, not anything to really go off of. But let's look at how it started. You got 85 to 86. Webster. I don't really remember that in syndication. American television series that aired on ABC from September 1983 to May 1987. First run of syndication from September 21st, 87 to March 89. Don't really remember it in later syndication. Mr. Belvedere, I think I had heard of that, but never seen it. 1985 to 1990. Different Strokes, absolute classic. What you talking about, Willis? Absolute classic. Gary Coleman, Todd Bridges. Didn't really see it until, oh gosh, I might not even until I was a teenager, I think, or a pre-teenager. Oh, this was pre-TGIF, okay. It just wasn't called anything. ABC Friday Night Movie. That's a cool way to do it. But see, the point is that you had, even before TGIF, you had a family-oriented lineup. They were starting to turn it up. You had Full House, Perfect Strangers, absolutely great. None of those shows that I mentioned before can hold a candle to shows like Full House, Perfect Strangers, Mr. Belvedere, whatever it was, although I'm sure it was one of the classics. Some of these other ones that didn't last very much, Just the 10 of Us. It's a funny name. What was this about? 3 seasons, 47 episodes. Original release, 1988 to 1990, so about 3. Wait, was Growing Pains a spin-off of this? Because it says Growing Pains related. Alright, let's see. American television sitcom aired on ABC from September 85 to 92. Growing Pains was a classic. Absolute classic. I just remember the guy falling off the roof in the production studio credit thing there. That was funny. And it launched the career of one Kirk Cameron. Cool guy. Really cool guy. Okay, let's see. Let's get back to the TGIF page. I did another take of this before, but I didn't think it was as good just reading this stuff, so I wanted to read it a second time with a little bit of a different reaction. Let's see. Okay, so the original run, you had Full House, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers, Free Spirit / Just the 10 of Us. Free Spirit is an American fantasy sitcom. A witch who moves in with a recently divorced father. Sounds very quirky. Sounds like something along the lines of Bewitched, probably based on something like that, or I Dream of Jeannie, one of those. Hi Honey, I'm Home, American television sitcom from 91 to 92. Oh, it got canceled 2 months after I was born, July 12th, 1992. May 21st, 1992. Can't believe I'm 30 years old. Soon to be 31 in May. Unreal. Where does the time go? Family Matters, absolute classic. So this must have been its debut was in... No, it was in 1989. They just added it to the lineup. So... Wait a minute. Was this... It was moved to CBS in 97. It debuted on ABC in 1989, but it wasn't on the... It doesn't look like it was on the pre-TGIF lineup. But you had Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Muppets Tonight, which was, I think, a less successful Muppets show. And then I think by that time you had the death of Jim Henson, may he R.I.P. So that threw a wrench into it. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, really funny show. Sort of lighthearted based on the comics. Way better than that satanic, just dark, bloody Netflix thing that they did, that they tied in with Riverdale, which is also another freak show. I don't like either of those. They're just ugh. That's taking Archie comics in a direction that no thank you. No thank you. Not for me. Maybe for you? Not for me. The Huleys. September 98 to April of 2000. Starred comedian D.L. Hewley. I'm discovering a lot of sitcoms that I missed back in the day. I've been watching a lot of them just to see, even the ones that didn't pan out, because there were a lot. You have to remember, and you can see by all of these lineups, there were a lot of sitcoms. A ton of sitcoms. I mean, there were sitcoms out the wazoo. It was... I mean, and you saw a lot of them only lasted 1 or 2 seasons if they were lucky, but sitcom was the format that you wanted for family television for a long time. And then sitcoms started branching out towards being a little bit more adult, a little bit more edgy with stuff like Cheers and Frasier and Becker, things like that. They started getting a little bit more adult. Friends, probably the most successful sitcom, arguably, of the 21st century. Probably the last truly successful sitcom of the 21st century. Big Bang Theory, I think, did okay, but we're talking about ABC here. Norm Macdonald, rest in peace. I've never actually seen Norm. It only lasted 2 years, but my gosh, Norm Macdonald is just a force of nature. Absolutely, just a comedy juggernaut. What a loss. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in its golden age, starring Regis Philbin. I remember watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire because they played it during the daytime on ABC. It was amazing. It was an adaptation of a British show, which I didn't know for years, but my gosh, what a game show. Because like I said, I tune into Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, and they're my go-to, and they have been my go-to since I was very little, because I used to go to my grandmother's. We had, in our old house, my grandmother used to live in our basement, and it was a fully furnished basement apartment. And I used to go down there around that time, so roughly 7 o'clock, and she'd be down there. She'd have lighting. Actually, this, if you can see it, this very lamp right here used to be lit, and it would be the only light in her living room. It'd be the only light in her living room. And ever since then, I've always lit basement spaces like that. But yeah, I would go down there, and starting to get a little sad just thinking about it. I'd go down there, remember seeing her, say, "Hi, hon, how you doing?" And I used to eat some saltine crackers and peanut butter. That was one of the snacks I had with her. And she would have the TV on, and it would be Wheel and then Jeopardy, and I just remember loving to watch it and just being fully absorbed. Not fully understanding it early on, but the more I watched it, the more I understood how the game was played, and I learned it. And I started watching it years after. She passed away in about 2004. May she rest in peace. And it's been a tradition on and off for me ever since. I just started it back up because I'm like, I need a break from the internet. I need a break from all this chaos. So I decided just to continue on that tradition. But Millionaire was a part of that era. It was an extension. I really loved game shows, and I saw Modern Millionaire I think once or twice, but it was pretty decent with Meredith Vieira once Regis left. I think she did a pretty good job, but I don't know who hosts it now. I saw it briefly, and I think it's a little bit different. They changed some things. They changed the Ask the Audience iconic theme and some other things. I'm just like, just it's outgrown me. It's Wheel has stayed largely the same except for some stage changes because it's had the same hosts and they've added some things, but I'm going off on a tangent. This is what happened to ABC, not my history with Wheel of Fortune. Come on now, Koopa. All right. Post TGIF. Okay, so this was also post TGIF. This was called Working Comedy from 2000 to 2001. I wouldn't have remembered this. I remember Millionaire, but that was again during the day. Two guys and a girl. Didn't they do that with what was it called? I don't even think no, it's not an ABC. I think it's either a CBS or a Fox thing with Zoe Deschanel. The show with Zoe Deschanel. Oh, it's basically what this sounds like. I don't remember this. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. But I know I don't remember the name of it, but I know it starred Zoe Deschanel. It was kind of one of her big debuts, and it was a pretty successful series. But that's what that premise was. Only I think it was three guys. Um, America's Funniest Home Videos, classic, absolutely classic. Hosted by Bob Saget originally, now hosted by, I think Alfonso, what's his name, who played Carlton on Fresh Prince, who's a perfect host for that, by the way. I think he does great. But the Bob Saget era was great, and then they had who else did they have? Was that Alan Thicke? No, Tom Bergeron. 2001 to 2015. Wow, he had a good run. Bob Saget originally, he did a really good job. Loved AFV. AFV was really, really good. But then once you get to 2008 to 2009, or rather, you get from 2005 to 2012, it's post TGIF, and you've got all the reality garbage, Super Nanny, Dancing with the Stars, Extreme Makeover, blah, 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 blah. Still, technically, I guess you could call it family entertainment, but really not funny, not fun, not charming, not anything worth watching, in my opinion. I mean, I remember Extreme Makeover, that freaking Move That Bus is still stuck in my head. It's, ugh. It wasn't a bad show, it's just, I don't know. I remember reading stuff about it years later, and it was a case of everything wasn't what it seems, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong. And then there's Shark Tank, which is still going. Shark Tank has pretty much replaced everything on TGIF. You had a resurgence with Last Man Standing, and nothing to really prop it up. Happy Endings only lasted 2 years. Malibu Country only lasted a year. And then Shark Tank in 2020. Then Dr. Ken, 2 years. I mean, some of these sitcoms really did try. And I like the fact that they gave them a shot. They really did. But then you get the third run with Fresh Off the Boat, Speechless, Child Support. This lineup is so weak. This 18 to 19. I'm just going to be clear. I don't remember any marketing for this. I don't remember any promotion for this whatsoever. I don't remember anything. Maybe you do. If you do, let me know in the comments below. I don't remember any promotion of any of these shows. I remember plenty of promotion for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't remember any promotion for any of these sitcoms. And granted, I was really much on YouTube on the time, but you'd think they advertise TV on YouTube all the time, and there was no YouTube ads. I don't remember a single one. American Housewife. This looks like it was more successful, 2016 to 21, so it's only been 2 years off the air. And then Shark Tank in 2020. And then they have a note about Steve Urkel making a crossover on Full House and Step by Step. I remember the Full House one was weird because it was just kind of like he came out of nowhere. It's like, who is this kid? Did they mention how he got to San Francisco from Chicago? I don't know. Oh well. Um, 2019 season, the block was reduced to 1 hour as 2020 had made its new 2 hour format permanent. I don't understand the draw of 2020. Maybe I haven't seen its ratings or anything, but maybe it's pretty good. But I mean, I will give ABC credit. They tried with TGIF, but it wasn't a sincere effort. At least not that third iteration. It just was. Those three sitcoms were just weak. How do you hold a candle to? You tell your kids, "Oh, I remember TGIF. We had it with mom and dad growing up, and it was a great lineup. You know, you had Perfect Strangers, Full House, Family Matters, Boy Meets World, and then they get this. It's like, what? That new Girl Meets World show should have been on TGIF. They should have made a TGIF around that. That would have made way more sense, but they launched it straight to Disney Channel, and it wasn't a very good show, unfortunately. Some nice fan service, but it wasn't great, admittedly. Although they, fun fact, they started a podcast for Boy Meets World. Danielle Fishel, uh, Ryder Strong, and Will Friedle. I couldn't think of their names for a minute. Eric Topanga and Sean basically started a really cool podcast talking about the behind the scenes and reminiscing, and it's a whole lot of fun. Danielle Fishel has changed the least. Same with they've all changed hardly at all. You can tell they've aged, but they're all still pretty much as you remember them from any sort of behind the scenes Boy Meets World stuff. It's really cool. It's a really cool podcast. I like that they did that. So be sure to check that out. I think it's called Pod Meets World, and it's on, I think, iHeartRadio and YouTube. So there's an audio version and a video version. I like to watch the video version, and they're going through each season of the show, so they'll have plenty of material for sure. But I mean, what the heck? Now, what should they do going forward? Should they try and reboot TGIF again? Odds are they probably won't. Somebody will probably bring it up and they'll be like, "Yeah, we tried that and it didn't work." If you can build sitcoms individually, you can build the type of entertainment that ABC was known for, and do it of the quality of something like Last Man Standing. Whether or not you like Last Man Standing, there's no arguing that it was done the way a sitcom should be done. It absolutely was. Some of the political elements and the way that they kind of took a side on that, it was a little iffy, but I thought that it was, and maybe it was because it was Tim Allen, but it felt grounded like a sitcom should. It wasn't exactly family friendly at moments. There was some stuff that wasn't, but it felt at least like a good old school sitcom. It felt like the people who made it knew what they were doing. So hopefully we get another thing like that again, and hopefully it's on ABC. You know, if they just dump it to Fox, then I don't think there's much hope for ABC, because ABC need sitcoms, they need programming. They need programming that they can have first and then put on streaming. They absolutely need it. But as it stands right now, it's just a shadow of its former self. I mean, DraftKings Casino Report, again, what the heck? DraftKings Casino Report. I can't get over that. And I saw a little bit of that when it was on Fox today, and I was like, because I thought it was Family Feud. The guide said Family Feud, and I was like, what on earth is this? This sports betting thing is getting out of control. And ironically, there was a promo for Dr. Phil where he talked about how predatory sports betting is. So I'm going to have to watch and see what that's all about. Anyways, let me know what your thoughts are on ABC. Did you grow up with it? Are you new to it? Are you a younger generation who's had parents who grew up with it? Like, what's your story with this network? I think it's a legendary network, and I think it deserves better than how Disney is treating it, for sure. I think Disney needs to revive it genuinely, and it's going to take a lot of time and money. But I think if Disney wants to get out of its hole, it's going to have to start with places like ABC. So, thank you very much for watching. This has been Super Koopa. I will see you guys next time. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.